Melissa's fingers trembled as she gripped the steering wheel, her knuckles white against the worn leather. The clock on her dashboard blinked 2:17 a.m., but time had lost all meaning in the suffocating darkness of the Michigan forest. For 10 years, she'd driven these overnight hauls, the long hours and lonely roads a necessary sacrifice for her daughter's future. But tonight, something was different. The air felt charged, alive with an energy that made her skin crawl. At 40, Melissa still turned heads. Her blonde hair, usually neatly tied back, now clung to her sweat-dampened neck. Her blue eyes, usually bright and alert, darted nervously between the road ahead and the impenetrable wall of trees on either side. The snug fit of her work shirt suddenly felt constricting, as if the forest itself was closing in around her. It started with a shadow. A flicker of movement just beyond her headlight's reach. Melissa blinked hard, willing it to be a trick of her tired mind. But then she saw it, a massive, dark shape emerging from the tree line with unnatural grace. Time seemed to slow as her headlights illuminated the creature. It stood on two legs, its body a mass of matted fur and rippling muscle. But it was the eyes that seared themselves into Melissa's psyche, two orbs of sickly yellow that glowed with an intelligence that had no place in a beast. Primal fear exploded through her body. Melissa slammed the accelerator, her heart pounding in sync with the roar of the engine. But the beast was faster than physics should allow, bounding alongside the rig with terrifying ease. The first impact came without warning. Claws raked along the side of the truck, the screech of tearing metal drowning out Melissa's scream. She fought to keep the wheel steady as the creature launched itself at the passenger door, pawing at the handle with a horrifying approximation of human dexterity. No, 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 Melissa chanted, her mind reeling. This wasn't possible. No animal could. The thought died as she locked eyes with the beast through the passenger window. In that moment, Melissa knew with bone-deep certainty that this was no mere animal. The intelligence behind those eyes spoke of something ancient, something that lurked in the shadowy corners of human nightmares. For endless minutes, the chase continued. Melissa's world narrowed to the road ahead and the persistent thud of the creature's assaults on her truck. When the lights of Sears finally appeared on the horizon, she nearly wept with relief. The beast fell back, melting into the darkness as suddenly as it had appeared. Melissa's hands shook violently as she pulled into the small diner's parking lot. She stumbled out of the truck, her legs weak and rubbery. The deep gouges along the side of her rig stood as stark evidence that this had been no hallucination. Inside the diner, the few patrons turned to stare at her disheveled appearance. Melissa was acutely aware of how she must look, hair wild, clothes rumpled, eyes wide with lingering terror. She slid onto a stool at the counter, desperate for a moment to collect herself. An old man regarded her with rheumy eyes. "You look like you've seen a ghost, darlin'," he said, his gravelly voice breaking the silence. Melissa managed a weak smile. "Just tired," she lied, the words tasting bitter on her tongue. "Long night on the road." The old man leaned in closer, his expression grave. "These woods can play tricks on a weary mind," he said softly. "Especially on nights like this." Despite her better judgment, Melissa found herself drawn into conversation. As the old man spoke of the Beast of Sears, describing in chilling detail the very creature she had encountered, a cold dread settled in the pit of her stomach. This was no isolated incident, no random attack. The beast was known, feared, and, most terrifyingly, had been haunting these woods for generations. As dawn broke, Melissa stood before her truck, tracing the deep claw marks with trembling fingers. A sickening realization dawned on her: these weren't random scratches. They were too deliberate, too precise. The beast had marked her truck, as if ensuring it could find her again. The implications hit her like a physical blow. What if this creature, this nightmare-made flesh, was intelligent enough to track its prey across state lines? What if it could pick her truck out from among thousands, lying in wait at rest stops and lonely stretches of highway? Melissa's mind raced with terrifying possibilities. She imagined those yellow eyes watching her from the tree line as she tucked her daughters into bed, those claws scraping at her bedroom window in the dead of night. The Beast of Sears had chosen her, marked her for some unfathomable purpose. And now, with every mile she drove, she'd be looking over her shoulder, wondering if this night would be the night it returned to claim its prize. As Melissa pulled back onto the highway, the forests of Sears receding in her rearview mirror, she couldn't escape the gnawing certainty that her ordeal was far from over. In fact, it was only beginning. The beast was out there, waiting, planning their next encounter. And in the dark corners of her mind, a traitorous voice whispered that maybe, just maybe, a part of her was waiting for it too. In these ancient woods, where primal fears lurk in every shadow, some nightmares refuse to end when the sun rises. For Melissa, and for those unlucky few who cross paths with the Beast of Sears, the real terror lies in knowing that the monster is real and that it might be coming for you next.